Capricorn. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for October of 2021. Well, you're going to find this month there's a lot of influences shifting from your career house, the 10th house, into the 11th house, which is a house of groups and tribes and friends, but also a house of networking. So you might find that a lot of questions come up for you this month from watching this horoscope that have to do with career and outreach. And if they do, you can get a mission orders reading from us, and you'll find a link for that in the YouTube description below. Get all your questions answered. Hey, Julia, I know you've got news for Capricorn around Venus, Mercury, and Mars. What is that good stuff?
Well, you heard right, Jamie. Hey there, Capricorn. I'll begin with Venus. She's the planet of pleasure. Wherever we have her, we might experience more pleasure that month. She's also the planet of relationships, and she begins the month and spends the first week of the month in your 11th house. This is the house of friends. It rules all the groups you're a part of. Say those could be things from unions, recovery programs, societies, clubs, etc. And when Venus is in this house, it's a very social time in people's life where you might just wanting to be connecting to a group in general instead of just hanging out with people one-on-one. If you have a partner, you're going to want to hang out with them in a group context. And if you're single, it's a wonderful time to get on a dating app because the 11th house rules networks of all kinds. Now, on October 7th, Venus moves into your 12th house, which is the house of isolation, the house of the subconscious. And when Venus is in here, where she'll be for the rest of the month, you're going to actually feel like withdrawing socially more, maybe spending more time with your partner at home than out in the world, because since the 12th house represents isolation and Venus represents pleasure, you're going to enjoy being more on your own, which is totally cool sometimes. And the next planet I want to talk about is Mercury. That's the planet of communication and mentation, and it starts the month retrograde in your 10th house of career. Now, when Mercury is retrograde in the 10th, it can be a time of miscommunications at the workplace or miscommunications with the authority figures of your life, which could be your boss, which could be a teacher, which could be your parents. Mercury retrograde in the 10th, it can be a time of rethinking or redoing a project at work, rethinking your career in general, or maybe rethinking about what you're going to do for the next career if you're currently looking for a job. Then on October 9th, Mercury is going to closely conjoin the sun, which we like to call Lesser Epiphany Day. And then this can be a time of insights and aha moments, especially regarding those 10th house matters I was discussing. Then on October 18th, Mercury goes direct, and then slowly over the next week, it's going to be faster and faster in the sky, which we call the shadow period. And we're finally going to see a close to this retrograde cycle. Now, the last planet I want to discuss is Mars. That's the planet of action and activity. Wherever we have it is where we're driven that month, and it's in your 10th house basically all month. So with Mars in the 10th, you could feel very driven at work. Mars is kind of an independent planet, so it's probably best if you can do work on your own instead of be in a team, different workplaces or different types of arrangements. Now, the 10th house can represent authority figures. Remember, Mercury is retrograde in there for a lot of the month too. So not only can you have miscommunications with authority figures, but also some ego disputes with them, some flare-ups and some frustrations too, because Mars tends to raise the temperature on things. So be aware of that. Then by October 30th, Mars is going to move into your 11th house. And since that's mainly taking place over the next month, we're going to really cover that cycle well in our next series of videos. So stay tuned for those.
Okay, I've got a couple of moons to tell you about, and they're going to really play off of that stuff that Julia was just saying about Mars. The first of these is a new moon in Libra in your 10th house. And the new moon tends to bring new beginnings. It's a great time for planting seeds, not seeing results right away, but planting seeds for the future. This moon being in Libra, you'd think that there's a lot of sweetness to that, a lot of good social skills, a lot of adeptness in your social approaches, especially to career that's falling in your 10th house. So you'd think, hey, I'm going to be quite the negotiator in my career this month. However, you've got to watch out for this Mars. Mars is hanging out with the moon and the sun and bringing a lot of its qualities of honesty and directness and forthrightness, but also force of will and a combative nature. So we're calling this one Making Peace with Adversaries. And it wouldn't be at all surprising, and Julia had mentioned this as well, with Mars being involved with this moon in your 10th house, if you find yourself getting into arguments or conflicts of interest, or just wanting something very different from what is wanted of you at your job, in your career, along your career path, or with authority figures. And definitely watch out for that when you're driving. You don't want to be stopped by the police and then get into an argument. That could be really messy for you. So the second moon I want to tell you about is the full moon, which is coming up on the 20th, which puts the moon into the sign of Aries, which Mars rules. And then it also opposes Mars, still hanging out with the sun in that 10th house. So the moon being the main factor in any full moon, its sign being Aries, this could be a really emotionally explosive moon, a very willful, there could be a lot of arguments, and it might happen in your career at your job because Mars and the sun are still there, but it might also have now extended into your home front. And so try to avoid arguments with family members, especially as you're under massive pressure in your career. And there may be some head-to-heads going on there. Try to keep things from exploding. Now, this one we're calling Negotiate Strongly, Then Let Go. And we're calling it that because of the involvement of Pluto. Pluto brings in a whole other layer of will and willfulness to this moon. Pluto is willing to stop at nothing in order to get his way. Mars already is, really feeling his oats. And when these two get together in a square, you can find yourself in a situation where emotions have run high. There's a lot of anger crackling in the air, and somebody wants something and they're just willing to do anything to get it. So try to stay away from situations like that. And we're calling this Negotiate Strongly, Then Let Go, because in order to keep from drawing fire from people who will stop at nothing, it's a good idea to just put out there what you want. And when things get too hot, just let it drift out into the universe. Let the universe take care of it. Let God take care of it. Let some other forces do the follow through with what it is that you want. Don't push too hard. It could be outright dangerous. Now, the next thing I want to tell you about is that we have a seasonal shift coming, as we do every month near the 21st of the month. In this case, the sun is leaving the beautiful and airy sign of Libra and shifting into the fixed water sign of Scorpio. Now, this is the third of 3 signs in a row that have to do with harvesting in various forms, beginning in September with Virgo, which is the separating of the wheat from the chaff, moving into Libra, which is the cool and drying season where the frosts color the leaves on the trees and we harvest some of the final vegetables, and moving into Scorpio, where there is the culling of the herd and the butchering of animals and the putting away of meat for the winter. And so the sun brings the light of consciousness and awareness, and the sunlight of vitality and energy into whatever area it moves into. And so it's coming into the sign of Scorpio, which is preoccupied with death, but also rebirth, and has a lot to do with loss and letting go and dealing with feelings of vulnerability and the desire to control. This falls for you in the 11th house, which is the house of communities, networks. This is the house of your Rolodex. This is the house of outreach and social media marketing. And over the course of the month, there is this general transition, which will continue next month when Mercury and Mars catch up with the sun and Venus, which has already been through this zone. So I think that this is a really great time to begin to shine the spotlight of attention and give that life force energy of sunlight to your community, to your Rolodex, your the people that follow you perhaps on social media, or your a circle of friends. And when you do that, and when you approach that community with the humbleness that comes from being willing to let go of the need for control, you'll find that wonderful things blossom in this arena. Okay, well, that is the good stuff we have for you, Capricorn. Hope you enjoyed it. You can always find your horoscope on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, for your sun sign, and it also works even better for your rising sign, so look that one up too. You can find your horoscopes on our website, pandoraastrology.com, along with the forecast for the month and access to readings that you can get with us one-on-one, and classes as well. And until next time, I'll see you around the cosmos. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.